Hello everyone, I'm Danny Azardian.
And I'm Muhammad Abang Abdullah.
In today's video, we're going to talk about sagging. And we are not AI here. We actually have 5 fingers here. And hello. Okay, I hope that is enough proof for us to not be AI. I hope we are not being replaced by AI. So, let us begin. So, you may have heard the word sagging from different kinds of media. Could be the news or even memes. Most of you may have heard about sagging from memes because not many news outlets cover this topic very much, especially here in our country, Indonesia. Most people associate sagging with crime or even a certain group of people you may dislike. News channels such as Fox News had stated that saggy pants is a safety concern and brings a bad image to the wearer. Here's the video.
Could saggy pants be a crime contributor? At least one Fort Myers City Council member thinks so. Tonight, Council discussed an ordinance that would ban people from wearing baggy bottoms throughout the city. Four Corner's Katie Jones live in the studio to explain that. Katie?
Well, Emily, Councilman Johnny Street says giant jeans and saggy pants aren't only a safety concern, but set a bad example and bring a bad image to those who wear them. Pants on the ground, too massive to move in. What some may call a trend, others say are trouble.
This is not to hurt any young people, but it's brought up to have you think about where you're going.
Councilman Johnny Street's bringing up discussion of an ordinance that would ban saggy pants in public. He says this so-called fashion statement gives the community a bad rep. Councilman Tom Leonardo agreeing that giant jeans aren't professional and could hurt potential employment.
Walking in to their place of business with their waistband of their pants below their buttocks. Tell me how that gives you a job.
But not all members are on board. Some say it should be up to the individual establishment to decide a dress code, not elected officials.
They're not in a city park or in a city building. Then, I don't see where it needs to be imposed on them.
Councilwoman Christine Matthews saying they should look into mentor programs for positive reinforcement rather than prohibiting certain styles. Some of her constituents agree, saying what you wear has no influence on how you act.
I don't think there's any correlation between people having saggy pants and violent crime in Dunbar.
If passed, some possible punishments could be tickets or fines. Some city leaders say they want to do whatever they can to keep the future of Fort Myers on the right track.
I don't want to see high unemployment rates. I want to see every one of our kids out there have a job this summer. But let me tell you, they're not going to get a job with their butt hanging out.
And again, this was just a discussion at tonight's council.
Unconventional fashion always catches people's eyes. And one of the biggest examples is the 2000s trend called sagging. Sagging refers to wearing pants that sag so that the top of the trousers or jeans is significantly below the waist, sometimes revealing the part of the wearer's underpants. It is predominantly a male fashion, and those who wear sagging pants are sometimes called saggers. Sagging as a hip-hop fashion style has gone through many negative responses by the public, which contradicts the idea of freedom of expression. Hip-hop fashion originated from urban black communities in cities like New York City, Los Angeles, and Atlanta, and has since grown into a style that is now recognized worldwide. It features elements such as oversized clothes, bold logos, sneakers, and shiny accessories. Just like any other types of fashion, hip-hop fashion has had many different styles and looks since its first appearance in the 70s. Some of them have garnered a large following of fans, especially the youths. However, not all of the styles are well received by the general public, and one of the biggest examples is called sagging.
The origins of sagging until now are still debated. One of the theories is that it is often claimed to have originated from the US prison system, where belts are sometimes prohibited due to safety concerns, either to prevent suicide attempts or to stop them from being used as makeshift weapons. As a result, prisoners' pants would sag because of the lack of appropriately sized clothing. Another more controversial origin story suggests that men who wanted to present themselves as sexually available to other men sagged their pants to expose their lower back. Over time, this look was misinterpreted as a mark of incarceration and began to represent toughness. However, these origin stories are mostly myth, for there is no concrete evidence to support them. These claims are often used to stigmatize sagging and associate it with criminality. Regardless, these origins shaped sagging and turned it into a fashion style that people see and judge in different ways.
Public reactions to sagging have been mixed, with responses ranging from local bans to school dress codes. Many viewed the style as improper or unsuitable for public settings, making it to a lack of discipline or respect. During the 2000s, a number of US cities such as Del Cambre, Louisiana, and Hahira, Georgia, passed local regulations banning sagging. But after some courts, these bans are ruled as unconstitutional. Schools, transportation systems, and airline companies also enforce anti-sagging policies. In some schools, students were suspended or publicly humiliated for violating dress codes. Transit authorities in cities like Fort Worth, Texas, and even airlines such as US Airways remove passengers for wearing sagging pants. Several cities even impose fines on people caught wearing sagging pants. For example, Albany, Georgia introduced an ordinance in 2010 that fined offenders between $25 and $250, depending on the number of violations. Similarly, Opaloka, Florida, passed a rule enforcing a $250 fine or community service for the same reason. And the highest fine appeared in Timminsville, South Carolina, where offenders could be charged up to $600. Sagging became not just a clothing style, but also a matter of public concern, with multiple cities and companies endorsing the banning of the fashion. Here is an example of someone getting arrested because of his saggy pants.
Says he's humiliated after being handcuffed and led out of a Jackson grocery store. 16 WABT's Tammy Estwick tells us what the man is demanding from the store.
Sir, pull your pants up.
Clint Jackson says he's humiliated after a security guard cuffed him at this Kroger on Terry Road. He says he went to buy a few items from the store, but when he got to the self-checkout, he heard a loud voice behind him.
He yelled at me, he said, sir, pull your pants up. Sir, pull your pants up. And before I knew, I've been handcuffed and towed out the store.
Clint says he didn't realize that the officer was speaking to him, so he continued to check out. That's when the officer put handcuffs on him. Clint says his pants were not sagging that Saturday. He feels like the store owes him an apology.
It's crazy because I ain't never been in a situation like that where nobody handcuffed me and about to take me to jail for having my pants low like that. I feel like he harassed me. I feel like he embarrassed me, and I want something to be done about that.
Tammy Estwick, 16 WAPT News.
Now, we contacted Kroger here in Jackson, and they referred...
Responding to the banning of sagging, several critics have analyzed these responses as a violation of freedom of expression. Let's take a look at the history. After the Civil War, the US created a list of laws that act as the pillar of for both national and local regulations, and they're called the Bill of Rights. It consists of 27 amendments. The First Amendment is the most important and crucial one, which says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assembly, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. This amendment talks about providing several rights, protections, to express ideas through speech and the press, to assemble or gather with a group to protest or for other reasons, and to ask the government to fix problems. It also protects the right to religious beliefs and practices. It prevents the government from creating or favoring a religion. According to Wikipedia, the First Amendment broadly protects the rights of free speech and free press. Free speech means the free and public expression of opinions without censorship, interference, or restraint by the government. The term freedom of speech, embedded in the First Amendment, encompasses the decision what to say as well as what not to say. The speech covered by the First Amendment covers many ways of expression and therefore protects what people say as well as how they express themselves. Free press means the right of individuals to express themselves through publication and dissemination of information, ideas, and opinions without interference, constraint, or persecution by the government. In short, the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights protects the freedom of religion, assembly, press, and the one that matters to this topic, speech, which also includes the freedom of expression.
The US claims to be a country that values liberty and freedom, yet they have tried to restrict how people express themselves through clothing. And in this context, sagging. Iranian model and designer Lala Rasi stated, "Freedom is not about the amount of clothing you put on or take off, but about having the choice to do so." History shows that restricting what people can wear never strengthens a society, because it only leads to rebellion or dual conformity. Throughout time, governments have used clothing rules to control their citizens, such as the Romans preserving purple for only the emperor, or modern regimes like Saudi Arabia and Iran, forcing women to wear full body coverings. These examples show how regulating clothing is often less about morality and more about enforcing power and control. Banning any type of freedom of expression, including free speech or freedom of assembly, usually happens in times of crisis or instability, when governments are not acting either in the interest of their people or the national good. These restrictions show the nation's fear of allowing their people to speak, to act, and to think. Enforcing bans does not lead to prosperity for countries that impose them. Groups that choose to dress differently from the mainstream for religious reasons or even just because they follow a particular musical style are often persecuted because of the visual difference in what it stands for, which are seen as rebelling against authority. This has happened throughout history. The examples include the 1746 British ban on kilts and tartans, and the discrimination of Ethiopia's Oromo people or Indonesia's Pang communities. True freedom lies in allowing individuals to make their own choices, even if others disagree with them. A healthy country supports the right to be different without punishing people for how to express themselves. Restricting what people can wear is a sign of a nation's failure to give its own people the freedom they deserve, which could lead to the degradation of prosperity.
In our honest and personal opinion, we wouldn't mind when someone sags their pants, and we think that sagging bands in the US are way too excessive for simply a way of clothing. Sometimes, whenever something is different, people assume it's not normal. As a result, they tend to hate for simply deviating from what they deem as normal. We should avoid this kind of mindset because every person is entitled to the right to express themselves through not just speech but also fashion. As long as it doesn't harm anyone, people shouldn't hate on it too much.
So, in conclusion, sagging is a hip hop style with unclear origins that are often linked to prison life. Public reaction to sagging have been negative, with several cities and companies banning the style and passing local ordinances. Some critics claim that these laws show the government's effort to control the people by restricting what they can wear, taking away the rights they have, and that is the freedom of expression. And that's all from us. Thank you.
And peace
peace
out.
out.